Okay, so good morning, good afternoon to everybody. So yesterday we started this chapter, third chapter, process scheduling, and under that we discussed about basic concept, what doing by process scheduling, why it is required, when it is required. So if there is the multi-programming environment, so then only the scheduling is required. Otherwise, if only one program or only one process will be there in the system, so there is no need of scheduling. But normally everywhere in every system, there are more than one processes. Everybody want to execute more than one programs, more than one task, more than one task they want to perform, and that's why we need to apply the concept of multi-programming. And as the environment is multi-programming, so we require the scheduling. So we discussed the basic concept, then we discussed about scheduling criterias. So which are the scheduling criterias, or which criterias we discussed yesterday? Come on, how many criterias we discussed, and which criterias we discussed? Who will tell me?
CPU utilization,
Good.
throughput, turnaround time, waiting time, and response time.
Good. So first one is the CPU utilization. So it is said that CPU utilization should be 100%. We should not keep CPU idle at any time. So we should try to utilize CPU totally at all time. Most important resource. Second one, that is throughput, total output, number of programs executed per time or number of processes executed per time. So this number should be higher according to the user's requirement. Third one, we discussed about turnaround time. Then we discussed about waiting time, and then we discussed about response time. And again, we started the scheduling algorithm concept, third point from the chapter scheduling algorithms. And under that scheduling algorithm, we discussed the theoretical concept of first scheduling algorithm, that is FCFS scheduling algorithm, first come first served scheduling algorithm. Okay, so and under that we were talking about the example. So yesterday, I hope you are able to see my screen, right? Screen is
Yes,
visible.
ma'am.
Okay. So we discussed the theoretical concept of FCFS, and then we started to discuss this example. So we were talking about this example. So example says that consider the following set of processes. So how many processes are there in the system? Three processes are there: P1, P2, P3. Name of the processes are P1, P2, P3. Then they require the burst time. So by burst time, the time required by that process to execute on the processor, that is called as a burst time. So P1 requires 24 milliseconds. So time is given in milliseconds. P2 requires 3 milliseconds and P3 requires 3 milliseconds. And again, it is given that in the given data, so all these set of processes that arrive at time 0. So at same time, they arrived in the system, in the operating system. So their arrival time will be 0 for all the processes. So if the arrival time will be same, so in that case, we need to consider the sequence given in the problem or in the example. So here the sequence given in the example is P1, P2, P3. So that's why we need to execute P1 first, then P2, then P3 next. So accordingly, we drawn the GNAT chart. So at time 0, P1 was also there in the system, P2 was also there in the system, P3 was also there system. But according to the sequence, P1 is the first process. So that's why processor is allocated to first process P1. So that's why in the GNAT chart, so from 0 to 24, so as 24, it is the burst time for process P1. So we shown process P1. Then at time 24, processor will be switched from process P1 to P2. So P2 starts at time 24. And as P2 requires burst time 3, so P2 executes from 24 to 27. And again at time 27, so processor will be switched from P2 to P3 because P2 is over. And P3 starts at time 27. And again, so P3's requirement, P3's burst time is 3. So that's why P3 will start execution at time 27 and it ends the execution at time 30. And accordingly, from this Gantt chart, so we calculated the waiting time. So how much amount of time process P1 was waiting for the processor. So P1 was not waiting for the processor. P1 arrived at time 0, and at the same time processor is allocated to P1 because P1 was the first process in the sequence. So that's why the P1, that is waiting time for P1, it is 0. So waiting time for process P1 is 0. So P2 arrived at time 0, but P2 started at time 24. So that's why P2's arrival time, waiting time will be 24. And P3 arrived again at time 0, but processor is allocated to P3 at time 27. So that's why P3's waiting time is 27. And accordingly, we calculated the average waiting time. So we added all the processes waiting time and we divided it by number of processes. So here in this example, 3 processes are there. So that's why we added 0 plus 24 plus 27 and we divided it by 3 as number of processes are 3. And we calculated the average waiting time, right? And after that, we'll calculate the turnaround time. So how to calculate the turnaround time? Actually here, the another situation is considered, that is sequence is changed. So if we change the sequence, so result will be different. So by changing the sequence, they have calculated the average waiting time, and then we have to calculate the turnaround time. Actually here in this example, turnaround time we have not calculated. So how to calculate the turnaround time? Turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. So waiting time we calculated over here and burst time is given in the example. So for example, if you consider the turnaround time for first process P1, if we consider turnaround time for process P1, so its waiting time will be 0 and its execution time will be 24. So I'm using the word execution time. So either I will use execution time or burst time. So both are same. So the turnaround time for P1 will be 0 plus 24. So that is 24. Same thing for P2. So P2, how to calculate the turnaround time for P2? So turnaround time for P2 is equal to waiting time of P2 plus burst time of P2. So waiting time of P2 is 24 and burst time is 3. So 24 plus 3, that is 27. And for P3, turnaround time for P3, so its waiting time is 27 and its burst time is 3. So 27 plus 3, so that is 30. So got the clear idea about waiting turnaround time? So first of all, we have to calculate the waiting time. Before calculation of waiting time, we need to draw the chart. How to draw the chart? So we need to consider, in case of FCFS, we need to consider the arrival time. And if the arrival time is same, then in that case, we need to consider the sequence given in the example. If the arrival time will be different, so in that case, no need to consider the sequence. So according to arrival time, we need to consider the sequence. But if the arrival time is same for all process, so in that case, we need to consider the sequence, right? So then calculate the waiting time. After calculation of waiting time, calculate the average waiting time, then calculate turnaround time per process. And after calculating turnaround time per process, calculate the average turnaround time. So that is the thing which we need to calculate in case of FCFS or in each and every example. So got the clear idea, students? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So first of all, note down this example and we'll consider the second sequence, and accordingly the second sequence you have to calculate or you have to solve that example. So first of all, write down this example in your notebook. If anybody is having doubt, they can please raise the doubt right now, clear the doubt, then we'll proceed further. Otherwise, see, in each and every scheduling algorithm, we are calculating waiting time and turnaround time depending upon number of processes. So in this example, it is considered 3 processes. So if there are 5 processes, if there are 10 processes, so still per process we have to calculate the waiting time and turnaround time. So if you are not getting the concept of waiting time or turnaround time, so ask me, I will clear once again, then we'll proceed further. So this is the simplest algorithm. Yes. If anybody is having doubt, they can ask. Otherwise, note it down, this example. We already have written up to average waiting time. Okay, good. So you have written yesterday up to average waiting time. Good. So then if you have written up to average waiting time, so calculate turnaround time. So however, I have written over here waiting time for process P1 in the same fashion. Turnaround time for process P1 is equal to waiting time for process P1 plus burst time of process P1. How to calculate turnaround time? Turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. So use this formula and calculate turnaround time per process P1, P2, P3, and then calculate average turnaround time and tell me the answer. So it's my request to all of you. So everybody be please join in time. Maximum 5 minutes are allowed. So I'm observing from last two lectures. So students are joining too much late. So now it's 12:36. So still students are joining. Okay, so all students take care. After your lunch break, lecture is there. So maximum by 12:20 you should join so that I can start the lecture at 12:20. Because if you observe, so for attendance also we require almost 10 to 15 minutes. And if you are coming late, so again I have to start the lecture late, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So almost half an hour will be wasted. Take care henceforth. So can anybody tell me what is the turnaround time for P1? Okay, Vedangi has calculated turnaround time. Average turnaround time, it is 27 milliseconds. Unnati, how you have calculated it as a 40.50 milliseconds? Unnati, something is going wrong in your case. Others, they are getting same, 27 milliseconds. Just cross verify. So almost 3 to 4 students, their average turnaround time came 27 milliseconds. So other students, hope everybody is calculating. So it's most important, keep in mind. So such scheduling algorithms, waiting time, turnaround time. So such questions are asked for a GATE exam also. So most important part in case of scheduling. Sandhya More, 27 milliseconds. Okay, Rahul has given the details. Good. So for P1, it is turnaround time is 24, right? P2, 27, P3, 30. So average is 27. Good. So those who are not getting the correct answer, they can just check process wise. Okay, good. Unnati also calculated. It's milliseconds. Good. So everybody solve it. So the right answer is average turnaround time. It's a 27 milliseconds. Okay. So now I will proceed to the second example in FCFS. So we are discussing about FCFS scheduling. So now second example will be based upon the same example. So you need to just consider the process arrive in the order P2, P3, P1. So arrival time will be same, but the order will be P2, P3, P1. order will be P2, P3, P1. So calculate waiting time per process, calculate average waiting time, calculate turnaround time per process, and calculate average turnaround time. So hope you are getting. This is the second example. Actually, second example, it is like the first example, only the order is P2, P3, P1 instead of P1, P2, P3. Take down the second example. Consider the set of processes in the system P2, P3, P1. So sequence is P2, P3, P1. Accordingly, you can write the burst time. So P2 that is 3, P3 that is 3, and P1 that is 24. 3, 3, 24. So draw the NAT chart. Draw the NAT chart. Calculate waiting time per process. Calculate average waiting time. Calculate turnaround time per process. Calculate average turnaround time. Let us see who will solve the example first. So like Rahul, so just now Rahul responded in chat box. So he has written the turnaround time per process and then average turnaround time. So like that you have to give the answer. So waiting time per process, average waiting time, and then turnaround time per process and average turnaround time. So like that you have to type the answer in the chat box. Okay, Vedangi. Waiting time. I think Vedangi, you have calculated the waiting time. Waiting time for P2 it is 0. Good. For P3 it is 3. And for P1 it is 6. Average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Good. So answer is 3 milliseconds. So post the turnaround time also per process and average turnaround time. Okay. Neha posted turnaround time. It's not turning time. Write properly. Turn around time. Okay, let it be. You may take your own time. It's turn around time. So turn around time for P2, it is 3. For P3, it is 6. And for P1, it is 30. So, okay. Rutuja Gaikwad. Turnaround time, average turnaround time 13. Good. Vishakha, average waiting time 3 milliseconds. So all of you check the answer and post your answer here. Vedangi calculated average waiting time as 3 milliseconds. Neha and Rutuja calculated average turnaround time as 13 milliseconds. So others you can also verify. Vishakha, average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Chinmay, average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Average turnaround time 13 milliseconds. Good. Almost everybody is getting the same answer. Vedangi posted average turnaround time. Kalyani Modak. Good. Rahul Gapat. 13 milliseconds. 3 milliseconds. Good. Vaibhav Patil. Isha Kamble. Good. Unnati Taigude. Vishakha. Good. So average waiting time will be 3 milliseconds and average turnaround time will be 13 milliseconds. Good. Now, again same example. Let me check. Okay. So consider the same example and then just add over here arrival time column. Okay, so here you can add arrival time column. So processes P1, P2, P3, burst time 24:33, and you can add the arrival time as 210. That is, process P1 arrives at time 2, process P2 arrives at time 1, and process P3 arrives at time 0. Are you getting my point? 210. Arrival time 210. 210. Process P1 arrives at time 2, process P2 arrives at time 1, and process P3 arrives at time 0. So this will be our third example. Calculate waiting time per process, average waiting time, calculate turnaround time per process, average turnaround time. Come on, third example. If you are having doubt, you can ask to me. If you are not getting the example, I have taken the same example, just I have added third column in this example, that is arrival time, and I have given arrival time 210. Yes, anybody is having doubt? Not getting the question like that? If you got the question, if you got the example, so solve it and again give the answer. Okay, somebody has answered. Vaibhavi Patil, average waiting time, how it is 0 milliseconds? Okay. Vedangi has posted average waiting time 3 milliseconds. So other students, you can cross verify. P30, P23. Okay, so P16. It's right. So Vedangi has posted average waiting time 3 milliseconds. So other students, average waiting Vishaka Savalkar. Okay. Average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Shraddha. Average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Swarupa Kolli. Average waiting time 3 milliseconds. Good. Rahul Kapat. Waiting time 3 milliseconds. Average turnaround time 13 milliseconds. Okay. So it is coming like the same second example. Am I right? Posti Vedangi Bhushan. Average waiting time. Vedangi, is it average waiting time or average turnaround time? Okay.
Turnaround, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so other students, are you solving? Hope everybody is solving. Just cross verify your answer. So with these three examples, I hope you got the clear idea about. Okay, Neha posted. So I hope you got the clear idea about FCFS, first come first served scheduling algorithm. So if you observe all these three examples, if you observe the first example, so in the first example, process P1 was having the burst time 24, and P2, P3, they were having the burst time 3. So their burst time is only 3, but still they have to wait for 24 milliseconds. So this is called as a convoy effect. So this is called as a convoy effect, a number of processes waiting for the one process to get off the CPU. So one big process. So that is in our first example, process P1 is treated as a big process because it requires 24 milliseconds, big amount of time of the processor. And P2 and P3, they are very small processes because they require only 3 milliseconds. But still, as their sequence is second and third, so they have to wait for 24 and 27 milliseconds. So if you compare their execution time on processor, so it's very small as compared to the waiting time. And that's why, so processes, they are using or they are investing very small amount of time for execution, but they are wasting more amount of time for waiting for the processor. So this particular effect or this particular drawback of FCFS is called as a convoy effect. CONVOY, convoy effect. So again, frequently asked question at the time of interview. So what is convoy effect and in which scheduling algorithm it comes? So it comes under FCFS, first come first served algorithm. And what done by convoy effect? So number of processes waiting for the one big process to get off the CPU or to release the CPU, right? So note down the disadvantage or drawback or limitation of FCFS. So that is called as a convoy effect. CONVOY, convoy effect. Okay, so FCFS is non-preemptive. Note down somewhere, FCFS is totally non-preemptive. Excuse me. Hello Sumit. आपल्या इथं नाही आहे की? नाही, आपल्या इथं फक्त कम्प्युटर आहे. हा मग आपलं टाका पहिल्यांदा आणि मग बाकीचे टाका. हा आणि आपले मेकॅनिकल वगैरे पण टाका त्याच्या खाली स्वेरीचं. हा 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 किती ऑप्शन भरताय? ऑप्शन किती भरताय म्हणलं? हा तिथं आहे का आता अजून? बर 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 बर. हा वेळ लागते त्याला, केअरफुली भरा. हा आणि ऑप्शन भरपूर द्या, तसं तुम्हाला 100 ऑप्शन भरायला परवानगी आहे, तसं काही नाही. हा 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 ओके. So any doubt about this algorithm, students?
No, ma'am.
Other students? Anybody having any doubt? So hope you have noted it down. FCFS is non-preemptive. So in this, once the processor is allocated to the process, so it will be deallocated after completion of that process. In between, it is not preempted. Keep in mind. That's why it is called as a non-preemptive. एकदा प्रोसेस सुरू झाली, एकदा सीपीयू त्या प्रोसेसला अलोकेट केला, जोपर्यंत ती प्रोसेस कंप्लीट होत नाही तोपर्यंत सीपीयू त्या प्रोसेस कडून दुसऱ्या प्रोसेसला दिला जात नाही किंवा सस्पेंड किंवा स्विच केला जात नाही. So that's why it's called as a non-preemptive algorithm. So FCFS scheduling is non-preemptive. So again, these are the frequently asked question at the time of interview. So FCFS is non-preemptive or preemptive. If it is preemptive, if you say preemptive, how it is preemptive. If you say non-preemptive, they will say how it is non-preemptive. Okay. So can we proceed further?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we go to the second scheduling algorithm. So second scheduling algorithm is the SJF, shortage job first scheduling algorithm. So the name itself tells shortest job we need to execute first. So what do you mean by shortest job? The process whose burst time is very small, so that process will be executed first. So the process whose burst time is small or shortest, so that will be executed first. So when the CPU is available, it is assigned to the process that has the smallest smallest next CPU burst. So again, directly here we are taking the example. So before that, let me take the help of this Word file also. Okay. So this FCFS scheduling, they have given the example. Okay, 3 examples we have taken, not necessary. So shortage job first. With each process, CPU burst is associated. When processor is available, it is allocated to the process with least CPU burst time. So SJF is possible in preemptive as well as non-preemptive variations. So actually SJF, it is preemptive as well as non-preemptive. So we'll see with the help of example. So we'll take one example as a case of non-preemptive, and then we'll take one example as a preemptive. Okay. So we'll take the same example which I have taken in the notes. Okay. So listen carefully to understand the concept. So first of all, we'll take this example, and this example is related to non-preemptive SJF. Non-preemptive SJF. So consider the following set of processes with the length of CPU burst time given in milliseconds. So how many processes they have given in the example? 4 processes, P1, P2, P3, P4, and the burst time given is 6, 8, 7, 3. So using SJF scheduling, we should schedule these processes according to the following Gantt chart. Okay. So here, if you observe this example, so they have said that consider the following set of processes with the length of the CPU burst time given in milliseconds. So if you observe in this example, they have given a set of processes and burst time, but they are not given arrival time. And at the same time, they are not mentioned anything in the example that whether they arrived at different time or same time, nothing. So if such examples will be there, so by default you need to consider that so they arrived at the same time. एवढं लक्षात ठेवायचं. जर एक्झाम्पल मध्ये अरायवल टाइम कुठेच मेन्शन केलं नसेल तर बाय डिफॉल्ट सगळ्या प्रोसेसेस एकाच टायमिंगला अराइव्ह केलेले आहेत असं कन्सिडर करायचं. ओके, सो इन दिस एक्झाम्पल दे आर नॉट गिवन अरायवल टाइम, so that's why we are considering that all processes arrived at the same time. So same time, that is at time 0. So we'll assume all processes arrived at time 0 in the system. So now according to SJF, according to non-preemptive SJF, so SJF tells me that choose the shortest job first. So if you observe this example, so which is the shortest job? Come on. P4, good. So P4, it requires smallest burst time, that is 3. So P4 will be our first job. So after that, which is the next smallest one?
P1,
Good, P1. Then
P3, P2.
P3 and P2. So it's very simple. So what we have to do, so we have to assume that all arrived at the same time, and we have to sort the processes according to the burst time. So burst time, whichever is the smallest one, that will be coming at upper level, and whichever requires maximum time, that goes at the end. So we decided the sequence over here according to SJF, that is P4, P1, P3 and P2, and the same sequence we followed in case of Gantt chart also. If you are looking, so we have written P4 first, then P1, then P3 and then P2. So P4, it requires 3, so that's why from 0 to 3 P4 will be there. From 3 P1, so P1 requires 6, so 3 plus 6, that is 9. So P1 will be ended at time 9. So after that P1 we are scheduling P3. So P3's burst time is 7. So 9 plus 7, that is 16. And at last we scheduled process P2 as it requires 8 milliseconds. So that's why, so P2 started at time 16 and it requires the burst time 8. So 16 plus 8, it is 24. Now, and based upon this Gantt chart, so we calculated the again waiting time and turnaround time. So waiting time, calculate the waiting time per process, calculate the turnaround time per process. Come on. Any doubt? So I said that this is non-preemptive SJF. Why it is non-preemptive SJF? So we have decided the sequence, and once the process is get started, so it is not preempted till it will be completed, right? एकदा प्रोसेसर त्या प्रोसेसला अलोकेट केला की जोपर्यंत त्याचा बस टाइम कंप्लीट होत नाही तोपर्यंत तो प्रोसेसर त्याच्याकडून दुसऱ्या प्रोसेसला दिला जात नाही. So that is the non-preemptive. So come on, all of you, note it down. If you are having any doubt, you can ask to me. Yes, Pradnya.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So note it down, SJF. So that word file I will share with you. So you can refer it afterwards. So actually in these scheduling algorithms, so theoretical concept, it's very small, but it is required to solve the example. So examples are most important. So once you clear the concept, so you are able to solve the example. So write down the example. Before that, write how SJF schedules the processes. When the CPU is available, it is assigned to the process that has the smallest burst or smallest CPU burst. So don't write that next, or just write smallest CPU burst. Write down the example. Calculate, draw the Gantt chart. Then calculate waiting time per process, average waiting time, turnaround time per process, average turnaround time. We'll check who will give the answer first. Again, it's very simple. It's non-preemptive. Then we'll switch to the preemptive. So we'll require some time. This is somewhat difficult than non-preemptive, but if you understood non-preemptive case, so it will be very simple to understand preemptive case. So still I'm asking, if you are having doubt, you can ask so that you will not feel that the preemptive one is difficult. So here in case of SJF, we are discussing both cases because SJF is preemptive as well as non-preemptive. So right now we are discussing about non-preemptive SJF. Right now we are discussing about non-preemptive SJF. Here arrival time is same. So as arrival time is same, so all processes arrived in the system at same time. So according to SJF, SJF tells that you have to schedule the process which requires shortest time or smallest burst time. Accordingly, we decided the sequence P4, P1, P3, P2. So carefully draw the Gantt chart. And from the Gantt chart, you can calculate waiting time and then turnaround time. Okay, somebody posted Rutuja Gaikwad. Average waiting time 7 milliseconds. Average turnaround time 13 milliseconds. So Rutuja, write our waiting time per process as well as turnaround time per process, and then you can write waiting time and turnaround time average. Waiting time for P4 it's 0, for P1 it's 3, for P3 it's 9. Neha posted. For P2 it is 16. Okay. Average waiting time 7 milliseconds. Good. Just cross verify other students. So Rutuja Gaikwad calculated average turnaround time as a 13. So average waiting time of Rutuja as well as Neha is same. Kalyani Modak. Average waiting time 7 milliseconds. Average turnaround time 13 milliseconds. Neha Kosti. Average turnaround time 13. Good. Waiting time. Rutuja Gaikwad. Okay. So it seems average waiting time will be 7 and average turnaround time will be 13. Good. Rahul Kapar, same result. So other students, average waiting time, Vedangi 7. Good. Okay, other students, just cross verify your answer. If you are getting the same answer, then it's okay. Otherwise, cross verify part of calculation. Otherwise, if anybody is having doubt, they can ask. Vaibhavi Patil. Good. Unnati Daigude. 7:13. Good. Okay, so everybody has completed it. Yes, students. Okay, so we'll move further. Now we are going to the second part of SJF, which is the most important because it is preemptive. Okay, so if we were using FCFS scheduling scheme, then the average waiting time will be okay. Okay, so they have done here the comparison is done with FCFS. So again, it is said that SJF is optimal than FCFS, that is average waiting time decreases. So in case of FCFS, so waiting time will be more, and if we consider the SJF, so waiting time will be decreasing because we are considering smallest job over here. The real difficulty with this SJF algorithm is knowing the length of the next CPU burst. So it depends upon the size of the process, that is burst time of the process. So SJF algorithm is either preemptive or non-preemptive. A preemptive SJF algo will preempt the currently running process to finish its CPU burst. Preemptive SJF scheduling is sometimes called as the shortest remaining time first or time next. So we'll see with the help of example. So now we are discussing about second part of SJF, that is preemptive SJF. So here, so the process will be get preempted if the next CPU burst will be smallest one. Okay, so we'll see. Listen carefully to understand the concept. This is somewhat difficult to understand. So consider the following four processes with the length of CPU burst time given in the milliseconds. So four processes are given in the system: P1, P2, P3, P4. Arrival time will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and the burst time will be 8, 4, 9, 5. Okay, so which process arrives first in the system? Process P1, because its arrival time is 0, and but its burst time is very big, so that is 8. Okay, so P1 arrives at time 0, so it executes from 0 to 1. Okay, so I will take the help of GNAT chart so that you will understand. Okay, so P1 comes at time 0 and it executes up to 1, from 0 to 1. So if you consider time 1, so at time 1, so what is the remaining time of process P1? प्रोसेस P1 कुठल्या टायमिंगला आलेली आहे सिस्टीम मध्ये? 0 ला अराइव्ह झाली. P1 चा बस टाइम किती आहे? 8. त्या 8 मधला 0 to 1 म्हणजे 1 मिलीसेकंद ती एक्झिक्यूट झालेली आहे आणि ऍट टाइम 1 त्या सिस्टीम मध्ये दुसरी प्रोसेस एंटर करते आणि दॅट इज P2. राइट. So P1's remaining time at that time will be 7 and P2 entered in the system and P2's burst time is 4. P1 चा रिमेनिंग टाइम किती? P1 ला अजून किती वेळ लागणार आहे? 7 मिलीसेकंद लागणार आहेत, पण ऍट टाइम 1 ला P2 अराइव्ह झालेली आहे सिस्टीम मध्ये आणि P2 चा बस टाइम आहे 4. सो इफ यू कंपेअर 4 विथ 7, 4 इज स्मॉलेस्ट वन. If you compare 4 with 7, so 7 is the remaining time of P1. I am using the word remaining because we have already started P1. We executed P1 for 1 millisecond, and after 1 millisecond, one more process arrived in the system, that is P2, and P2's burst time is 4. So P2's requirement is 4 and P1's remaining requirement is 7. So as compared to 7, 4 is smallest one. So what SJF does, what preemptive SJF does, so preemptive SJF gives chance to P2 because P2's burst time is smaller than remaining time of P1. So remaining time of P1 is 7 and P2's burst time is 4. Right? So it starts or it does the context switch from P1 to P2. So P2 at time 1, arrived at time 1 and immediately it got the processor. So its burst time is 4. Its burst time is 4. Then what happens? So from 1 to 2. So again from 1 to 2. So at time 2, third process is going to enter in the system, that is P3. So P2 will be get executed from 1 to 2. So at time 2, P2's remaining time will be 3. P2's remaining time will be 3 and P3 enters in the system and P3's burst time is 9. So as compared to 9, 7, 3. So 3 is smallest. So that's why 3 will be continued. So what is 3? 3 is nothing but the remaining time of P2. So P2 will be continued. Again at time 4, sorry, at time 3, P4 enters in the system. So at time 3, P2 executed for 2 milliseconds. So its remaining time will be 2. So its burst time will be 2. P4 burst time is 5. P3 burst time is 9. P1's remaining time is 7. So as compared to 7, 2, 9, 5. So 2 is the smallest. So that's why P2 is continued. Hope you are understanding. It is somewhat difficult to understand. Okay. So are you getting my point? Yes, students. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Once again, I will repeat. Okay. So some of the students, no, ma'am, repeat. Okay, I will repeat. So listen carefully. Actually, example. So better, first of all, write down this example in your notebook so that you can understand. Actually, example is coming on one page and its NAT chart is coming on another page. So it is somewhat difficult for you people if I switch from first page to second page. So come on, all of you, first of all, write down this example in your notebook so that you will take the help of your notebook. So this is the second example. Consider the, so before that example, you may write preemptive SJF. Second example, preemptive SJF. So two examples we have discussed. First one, non-preemptive SJF. Now second one, preemptive SJF. And note down this example. Is it over?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will go to the next page. Here. Okay. We are looking over here. So P1, I have started P1 first because P1 arrived at time 0. So you can look at in your notebook. So in the notebook, process P1 arrived at time 0. So from 0 to the next arrival time. So which is the next arrival time in our example? Next arrival time is 1. So from 0 to 1 will execute P1 because from at this time So for this time interval from 0 to 1, only one process will be there in the system, because yet nobody arrived in the system. So when the second process is going to arrive at time 1, so at time 1 it is going to arrive. So that's why from 0 to 1 we executed P1, and at time 1 P2 entered in the system. P2 entered in the system. So P2's requirement, P2's burst time was 4. So what is the remaining time of P1? So remaining time of P1 is P1 executed from 0 to 1. P1 चा बस टाइम किती आहे? 8 आहे. त्या 8 मधला 1 तो एक्झिक्यूट झालेला आहे. 0 to 1 तो एक्झिक्यूट झालेला आहे. त्यामुळं त्याचा रिमेनिंग टाइम किती राहिला? त्याला अजून किती मिलीसेकंद सीपीयू लागणार आहे? 7 मिलीसेकंद. 8 - 1 7. So P1's remaining time will be 7 and P2's burst time is 4. So as compared to 7, so 7 is the CPU burst of P1 and 4 is the CPU burst of P2. So 7 as compared to 7, 4 is smallest, because SGF says me that you have to consider the smallest CPU burst, smallest next CPU burst. So next CPU burst out of 7 and 4, because now at time 1, now two processes are there in the system. One is P1 and P2. So P2's burst is 7. P1's burst time is 7 and P2's burst time is 4. So as compared to 7, 4 is smallest one. So that's why we have to switch from P1 to P2. So while we are switching from P1 to P2, so we need to keep in mind what is the remaining time of P1. So remaining time of P1 is 7. So P2, we have scheduled P2 because its burst time is shortest one as compared to remaining time of P1. So we continued P2 from 1 to 2. Assume that from 1 to 2 we have executed P2. So what is the remaining time of P2 now? So P2's total time was 4. So from 1 to 2 we executed. That is 1 millisecond we executed. So remaining time will be 3. Remaining time will be 3. So at time 2, one more process entered in the system, that is P3. At time 2, P3 entered in the system. So P2's remaining time is 3 and P3's burst time is 9. So as compared to 3, 9 is greater. So that's why again we continued P2. Right. So we executed P2 up to 3. पुढचे arrival time पर्यंत. So next arrival time is 3. So up to 3 we continued. That is from 1 to 3. 1 to 2, 2 to 3 we executed P2. Now P2's remaining time will be only 2. आता P2 ला किती वेळ लागणार आहे? CPU फक्त 2 मिनिटासाठी लागणार आहे. पण अजून एक प्रोसेस एंटर झालेली आहे सिस्टीम मध्ये, and that process is nothing but the P4, and P4's burst time is again P4's burst time is 5. So 5 is also greater than 2. So that's why we need to continue P2. Right? म्हणजे जेव्हा सगळ्या प्रोसेसेस होतात, आता तुम्ही परत you are able to apply non-preemptive SJF. So now according to non-preemptive SJF, what will be sequence? P2, then P4, then P1, and then P3. Are you getting my point? Yes, students. P2, P4, P1, P3. Got it? Yes. Unnati replied. Okay. So what about other students? Everybody got the concept? Okay. So will it be possible for you now to solve it? Okay. So come on. Now solve this example. Actually, according to this example, I have just displayed the GNAT chart. So again, same thing we need to follow. That is, we have to calculate the waiting time. So now, first of all, listen to me. Now, if you are calculating waiting time, so over here, if you consider P1, so P1 is executed in 2 slices. That is from 0 to 1 and from 10 to 17. आता P1 ह्या P1 च्या केस मध्ये तुम्ही waiting time कसं calculate करणार? So for the first slice, that is from 0 to 1, waiting time will be 0. and for the second slice P1 कधी अराईव्ह झालेली आहे 0 ला अराईव्ह झालेली आहे. पहिल्या स्लाइस साठी तो वेट केलेला नाहीये पण दुसऱ्या स्लाइस साठी त्याला वेट करावं लागलं, राईट. So how much amount of time it was waiting? It was waiting from 1 to 10. If you are looking towards the GNAT chart, you will understand P1 किती वेळासाठी वेट केलेला आहे. पहिल्या स्लाइस साठी तो वेट केला नाही पण दुसऱ्या स्लाइस साठी त्याला वेट करावं लागलं. So how much amount of time it is waiting? From 1 to 10. So that is 10 minus 1, 9. So for 9 milliseconds, P1 have to wait. Are you getting my point? Yes, students? Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So got the clear idea? आता इथं P1 दोन स्लाइसेस मध्ये आपण एक्झिक्यूट केलाय. So first slice is 0 to 1 and second slice is 10 to 17. So waiting time for first slice will be 0 and waiting time for second slice of P1 will be 9. So that's why total waiting time of P1 will be 9. In the same fashion P2. So what is the waiting time for P2? Can you tell me?
One millisecond.
For P2.
Four.
What is the waiting time for P2?
0.
0. Good. So if you consider arrival time, so arrival time of P2 is 1. Process P2 कधी आली सिस्टीम मध्ये 1 ला आलेली आहे आणि लगेच ऍट टाइम 1 लाच त्याला प्रोसेसर दिला गेलेला आहे. And P2 is executed in one slice only. म्हणजे 1 ला allocate केला P2 ला आणि P2 चा बस टाइम किती आहे? रिक्वायर्ड बस टाइम किती आहे? 4 आहे. राईट. So it is 4. So it is get executed from 1 to 5. That is 4 milliseconds. Yes, are you getting my point? Yes, students. Come on, respond me. Unmute yourself, respond me. Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you got how we calculated waiting time for P2? Rahul? Rahul Gapat? Hello. What happened with Rahul?
Yes, ma'am.
So you got how we calculated waiting time for P2? What
Can
is
you repeat, ma'am? I was disconnected.
Okay, okay. So for P2, if you observe P2, so P2 arrived at time 1. According to example, arrival time of P2 is 1. So P2 arrived at time 1 and immediately at time 1 only CPU is allocated to P2. So that's why P2's waiting time will be 0. Are you getting my point? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so P2 arrived at time 1 and we scheduled it for execution at the same time, and its burst time was, its requirement was 4 milliseconds. So we executed P2 from 1 to 5, that is 4 milliseconds. It means its waiting time will be 0. It was not waiting for the processor, right? Now come to P4. So can you tell me what is the waiting time for P4? Come on, who will tell me waiting time for P4?
2.
It's 2. P4 arrived at time 3 and it is scheduled at time 5. Good. So it entered in the system at time 3 and it is scheduled at time 5. So 5 minus 3, that is 2. Good. So what about P3? See, P3's
15.
arrival time is 2. Come on, P3. What is the waiting time for P3? Come on, what is the waiting time for P3? Yes?
15.
Good, 15. So how you calculated 15? Good. So 15, that is 17. 17, it is the allocation time for P3. So CPV is allocated to P3 at time 17, but P3 entered in the system at time 2. P3 entered in the system at time 2. So that's why 17 minus 2, that is 15. Right? So for P1, for the first slice, it is 0 waiting time. For the second slice, the waiting time is 10. Sorry, 9. 10 minus 1, because from 0 to 1, it is get executed. So for P1, it will be 9. For P2, it will be 0. For P4, it will be 2. And for P3, it will be 15. So like that, this will be the waiting time per process. Calculate the average waiting time and then calculate turnaround time per process and average turnaround time. Come on. Or if you are having doubt, you can clear right now. Hope everybody understood this concept. So calculate waiting time per process, calculate average waiting time. Before that, draw the Gantt chart. If still anybody not getting the concept, please ask. So you need to solve such examples number of times. What about students from B division? Nobody asking any kind of question. Average waiting time 6.5 milliseconds. Rutuja posted. Rahul, now are you in range? Yes, it is a rainy environment.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, the time which we have written in the chart, which time is that?
Where?
0, 1, 5, 10.
1, 5, 10.
Yes.
So we executed P1 from 0 to 1. At time 1, P2 started and P2 is terminated at time 5. Again, at time 5, we allocated processor to P4. P4 executed from 5 to 10 because P4's requirement, P4's burst time was 5. So that's why it is 10. So that's why at time 10, again we scheduled P1 because at time 10 in the system, P1 was also there and P3 was also there. P1's remaining time was 7 and P3's required time was 9. So as compared to 7 and 9, so 7 is smallest. So that's why we scheduled 7 from 10 to 17. And at last, the last process, that is 9, P3. So from 17 to 26, that is P3. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll take one more example so that you will understand. Is it over? Calculate average waiting time, average turnaround time. So Rutuja has posted only average waiting time. Neha Kosti posted. Okay. Average turnaround time P1 17, P2. So let me check. P1 it is 17. Turnaround time 1 plus this 10 to 17, 7. So burst time is 8 and this is 7. Sorry, 9. 17, right? So P1 it is 17, P2 it is 4. P2 it is 4, P3 it is, so its waiting time was 15 and its burst time was, right, okay, and P4 it's 7. 2 plus 5, 7, right? Okay, Shubham Shende. So explain turnaround time. Okay. Okay. So once again, I will repeat the same example. So all of you listen carefully. All of you listen carefully. I will explain the same example once again. So see the example. This is a preemptive SJF. So we considered that in our system, total 4 processes are there. We considered that total 4 processes are there in the system, P1, P2, P3, P4. Their arrival time is given. So P1 arrived at time 0, P2 arrived at time 1, P3 arrived at time 2, and P4 arrived at time 3. So their burst time is also given. So P1's burst time, P1 ला किती वेळासाठी प्रोसेसर लागणार आहे 8 मिली सेकंदासाठी, P2 ला किती वेळासाठी लागणार आहे 4 मिली सेकंदासाठी, P3 ला लागणार आहे 9 मिली सेकंदासाठी आणि P4 ला लागणार आहे 5 मिली सेकंदासाठी. So this is nothing but the requirement of the processes. So first of all, we need to draw the GNAT chart. So this is the major task. GNAT chart एकदा करेक्ट काढलात की त्याच्यावरून तुम्हाला वेटिंग टाइम and turnaround टाइम काढायला जास्त वेळ लागत नाही. So at time 0, P1 arrived in the system. All of you listen carefully. 0 टायमिंग ला सिस्टीम मध्ये कोण होतं? सिस्टीम मध्ये फक्त एक प्रोसेस होती आणि ती म्हणजे P1. So that's why by default processor will be allocated to P1. येते लक्षात? टाइम 0 ला फक्त एक प्रोसेस सिस्टीम मध्ये एंटर केली आहे, अजून बाकीच्या प्रोसेसेस आलेल्या नाही आहेत. त्या कधी येणार आहेत? पुढच्या मोमेंटला येणार आहेत, 1 ला, टाइम 1 ला येणार आहेत. त्यामुळं 0 to 1 मध्ये कुणाला एक्झिक्यूट केलं बाय डिफॉल्ट? P1 ला, राईट? एकच असल्यामुळं बाय डिफॉल्ट दॅट विल बी ट्रीटेड ॲज अ शॉर्टेस्ट जॉब. So P1 is scheduled, but it is executed only for 1 millisecond and it is get preempted because its remaining time was 7 and newly arrived process burst time required was 4. So that's why P1 is not continued. P1 is preempted by P2, right? So P2 arrived at time 1. At time 1, 2 processes will be there in the system. One is P1, whose remaining time is 7, and second process is P2, whose required burst time was 4. So that's why as compared to 7, 4 is shortest. So that's why P2 is continued up to the next arrival time. So what is the next arrival time? That is 2. So at time 2, again third process entered in the system. At time 2, third process entered in the system, and the third process requirement was 9. Process P3 entered in the system. Its burst time requirement was 9. So now 3 processes are there in the system. P1, whose requirement is 7. P2, whose requirement is 3. At time 2, P2's requirement is 3. P2 1 to 2 एक्झिक्यूट होतोय आणि 2 ला त्याला अजून किती वेळ लागणार आहे 3. At time 2 its requirement is 3 and P3 entered in the system whose requirement was 9. So 7, 2 and 9. So as compared to 7 and 9, 2 is shortest. So that's why P2 is continued again up to 3. So 3 is the next arrival time. So at 3, one more process entered in the system whose requirement was 5. That is process P4. So now 4 processes are there in the system at time 3. So process P1 requirement is 7. Process P2 requirement is 1. Process P3 requirement is 9. Process P4 requirement is 5. So as compared to all these 3 processes, P2's remaining time is shortest. So that's why P2 is continued. So that's why after P1, P2 is completed. After completion of P2, now we are able to schedule it like as a non-preemptive SJF. So P2, it requires 1, P4, 5, then P1, 7, then P3, 9. Right? So accordingly, we drawn the Gantt chart. Then we calculated the waiting time. So waiting time calculation. So whatever number of slices are there, accordingly, per slice we need to calculate the waiting time. So here in this example, P1 is executed in terms of 2 slices. मी स्लाइस म्हणतीये स्लाइस दॅट इज 2 पार्ट मध्ये P1 एक्झिक्यूट झालेली आहे. पहिला पार्ट काय 0 to 1. 0 to 1 ला एक्झिक्यूट होत असताना P1 ला वेटिंग करावं लागलं नाही का तर P1 अराइव्ड ऍट टाइम 0. So that's why for the first slice P1 was not waiting, but for the second slice, so when the second slice of P1 started, it started at time 10. When P1 arrived at time 0, up to which it executed, up to 1 it is executed. It means from 0 to 1 it's the execution time of P1. From 1 to 10 it is the waiting time. For the second slice of P1, it was waiting from 1 to 10. So that's why waiting time for P1 is 10 minus 1, that is 9. So for the first slice, waiting time is 0. For the second slice, it is 9. So addition of waiting time 0 plus 9, that is 9. So final waiting time for P1 will be 9. Waiting time for P2, it's 0 because it was not waiting for the processor. It arrived at time 1 and immediately processor is allocated to it and it went for completion. It went for completion. So by 5 it get completed. So that's why P2's waiting time will be 0. P4 according to Gantt chart I'm talking, P4 arrived at time 3. P4 arrived at time 3, but it is scheduled at time 5. ती सिस्टीम मध्ये कधी आली P4 3 ला आली पण तिला प्रोसेसर कधी मिळाला 5 ला. म्हणजे त्याचा वेटिंग टाइम किती आहे 3 to 5, that is 2. So P4's waiting time will be 2 and then P3's waiting time. So P3 arrived at time 2. P3 arrived at time 2, but it is scheduled at last, that is at time 17. आली ती 2 ला पण 2 ते 17, 2 ते 17 पर्यंत तिला वेट करावं लागलं. So that's why its waiting time is 17 minus 2, that is 15. So once we calculate the waiting time, so how to calculate the turnaround time? So turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. Turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. The students, they are facing some range issue. So now Shubham, got it? Shubham Shende. Yes, okay. So now calculate waiting time and calculate average waiting time. Calculate waiting time, calculate average waiting time. Shubham, I want a response from you as well as other students. Come on. So with respect to the same example, you have calculated the waiting time per process, average waiting time. So from the waiting time, calculate the turnaround time. How to calculate turnaround time? Turnaround time is equal to waiting time plus burst time. So burst time is given in the example and we have calculated the waiting time. Vedangi. Okay, average waiting time 6.5 millisecond. Average turnaround time 13 millisecond. Yes, Neha Kosti also got the same result. 13 millisecond average turnaround time. So other students post it. Kalyani Modak, average waiting turnaround time 13. Okay. So it seems that almost 4 to 5 students, they got the same result. So we'll say that this is the correct result. The average waiting time in this example, it is 6.5 and average turnaround time, it is 13. Shubham, after completion of your calculation, you can also post. Unnati Daigude also posted. Rutuja Gaikwad posted. Good. Hope you are now you are understanding the concept. Other remaining students, you can also post your answers here so that I can get you are getting the concept. Sandhya More 6.5 U13. Good. Sneha Maskar. Good. Average turnaround time 13. Chinmay Halsikar. Okay. Come on, other students. I'm repeating number of times. What about other students? Why you are not responding? So hardly takes 1 second to type these two parts. You have to just type the average waiting time and average turnaround time. Like Chinmay, Sandhya More, they have posted in number only. Yes, anybody having any doubt? Pradnya Ingre, 6.5 13. Good. Anybody not getting the concept? Rahul Gapat, are you there now?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether you got the clear idea? You got the example?
Ma'am, I have joined it now because
Actually,
of
you
network
were
problem.
facing the problem. So can I
Yes,
repeat the
ma'am.
example once again?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Once again, I will repeat the example. So those who didn't get the example, listen carefully. Then we'll proceed to the another example so that you will get it. Okay, so actually I done something over here. Okay, so the example is there in front of you. You have written in your notebook. So 4 processes are there in the system. Their arrival time. P1 arrived at time 0, P2 arrived at time 1, P3 arrived at time 2, and P4 arrived at time 3. So P1's burst time. So the time required by P1 on processor, that is 8 milliseconds, P2 4 milliseconds, P3 9 milliseconds, P4 5 milliseconds. Okay. Now, how we drawn the GNAT chart? Listen to the GNAT chart. So here, at time 0, P1 arrived. So from 0 to 1, nobody was there in the system except P1. 0 ते 1 पर्यंत सिस्टम मध्ये कोण होतं? फक्त P1 होतं. P1 होता. That's why by default processor is allocated to P1. So from 0 to 1, P1 executed. So P1's total requirement was 8. P1 ला बस टाइम किती लागणार आहे? 8 मिलीसेकंद लागणार आहे. 8 मधला 1 मिलीसेकंद तो एक्झिक्यूट झाला इथे. त्यामुळे रिमेनिंग त्याचा किती टाइम राहिलेला आहे? 7 राहिलेला आहे. सो ऍट टाइम 1 P1's रिमेनिंग टाइम वॉज 7. त्याला P1 ला अजून 7 मिलीसेकंद साठी प्रोसेसर लागणार आहे. पण ऍट टाइम 1 ला अजून एक प्रोसेस एंटर केलेली आहे सिस्टीम मध्ये, ती म्हणजे P2. So P2 entered at time 1 in the system and P2's required burst time was 4. P2चा burst time किती होता? 4. P2 ला किती वेळासाठी लागणार आहे प्रोसेसर? 4 मिलीसेकंदासाठी. P1 ला किती वेळासाठी लागणार आहे अजून? 7 मिलीसेकंदासाठी. So P1's burst time is more or greater than P2. So at time 1, P2's requirement is treated as the smallest one. That's why processor is switched from P1 to P2. So P2 executed from 1 to 2 and at time 2, one more process entered in the system, that is P3. At time 2, P3 entered in the system and P3's requirement is 9. So if you compare at time 2, P3 requires 9, P2 requires 3, right? P2 1 to 2 एक्झिक्यूट झालेला आहे आणि ऍट टाइम 2 ला अजून P2 ला किती वेळ लागणार होता प्रोसेसरवर? सो P2 रिक्वायरमेंट वॉज 3 बिकॉज इट्स टोटल रिक्वायरमेंट वॉज 4. So out of 4, it executed from 1 to 2, 1 millisecond. So from 2 onwards till it requires 3 milliseconds. So P2's remaining time is 3, P1's remaining time is 7, and P3's requirement is 9. So as compared to 7 and 9, 3 is less. So that's why P2 is continued. So P2 is continued from 2 to 3. So at time 3, last process arrived in the system, and that is nothing but the P4. So P4's requirement is 5. So now this is the last process. So at time 3, if you consider at time 3, so after time 3, nobody is going to enter in the system. So at time 3, we are able to take the decision like non-preemptive SJF. At time 3, we are able to take the decision like non-preemptive SJF. So that is at time 3, all 4 are there in the system. So P1 requires 7, P2 requires 2, P3 requires 9, and P4 requires 5. So if you compare all these 4 times, so 2 is the smallest one, and that 2 is required by P2. So that's why P2 is continued. So after P2, which is the greatest one, which is the next smallest one, that is 5, that is nothing but P4. After 5, which is the smallest one, 7. So 7 is the remaining time of P1, and which is the last one, that is P3, whose requirement was 9. So we scheduled like 2, 2, 5, 7, 9. So this is non-preemptive SJF. But when we are able to do this, that is after the last arrival time. Before that, we need to follow preemptive SJF. Preemptive SJF म्हणजे काय? कोणीतरी कोणाला तरी प्रिएम्प्ट करतं, कोणीतरी कोणाला तर थांबवतंय. या केसमध्ये काय झालेलं आहे? P1 आला सिस्टीम मध्ये, P1 0 to 1 एक्झिक्यूट झाला, पण P1 ला कोणी थांबवलं? P2 no, because P2's required time was short than P1. So what SJF tells? Whichever is the shortest one, schedule that first. Right? So this is nothing but the Gantt chart. And after that, we calculated the waiting time. So waiting time for P1. So P1 is executed in 2 slices. So this is the first slice and this is the second slice. First slice is from 0 to 1 and second slice is from 10 to 17. So in between these 2 slices, it was waiting for the processor because processor was with P2 and P4. So that's why this is treated as a waiting time for P1. So first slice waiting time of P1 will be 0 and second slice waiting time of P1 will be 10 minus 1. That is 9. For P2, arrived at time 1, scheduled at time 1, completed at time 5. So its waiting time will be 0. For P4, arrived at time 3, scheduled at time 5. So 5 minus 3, that is 2. So 2 will be the waiting time for P4. And for P3, arrived at time 2 and scheduled at time 17. So 17 minus 2, that is 15. So this is waiting time, and from that waiting time, we calculated the turnaround time. Now got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can I proceed further now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will give the same example. This now this will be the second example under preemptive case. So this example we treated as a first example in preemptive case. I hope you are understanding. पहिले example घेतला आपण. So the first example was non-preemptive SJF. This is the non-preemptive case. Then we considered the preemptive case, one example, and one more example I will give now to you. So again, consider the same P1, P2, P3, P4. So I will just change the arrival time so that, okay, so we will consider arrival time of P1, P3 as we'll consider it as a 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So note down arrival time. Just I will change the arrival time. Remaining thing will be as it is. So arrival time for P1, you can note it down. It as a 1. So 1, 1, 2, 0, 3. 1, 2, 0, 3. In the chat box, I will write so that you will understand. So I will just write the sequence. So P1 will arrive at time 1. P1, 1. P2 will arrive at time 2. And P3 will arrive at time 0. And P4 will arrive at time 3. So consider this as a modified example and solve it. So P3 arrived in the system first, then P1 arrived, then P2 arrived, and then P4 arrived. Okay. So consider this as a second example under preemptive SJF. Solve it. Calculate the waiting time per process, average waiting time, turnaround time per process, average turnaround time. Shubham Shende. Why you are unable to see the message? Shubham? Okay, I will tell you. So just listen to me. P1 arrived at time 1. P2 arrived at time 2. I'm talking about arrival time. P1 arrived at time 1. P2 arrived at time 2. P3 arrived at time 0. And P4 arrived at time 3. 1203. In case of arrival time, you have to just write 1203 and you have to solve the example. Okay. 1203. Okay, so anybody has solved here? So here what happens at time 0, P1, at time 0, P3 enters in the system, and from 0 to 1, P3 executes, and at time 1, P3's remaining time will be 8, and P1 entered in the system and whose worst time was also 8. Right? So tie occurs. P1 also requires 8 and P3 also requires 8. So in this case, you have to apply FCFS. जर दोघांचा बस टाइम सेम असेल तर त्यातली कुठली प्रोसेस चूज करायची जी पहिल्यांदा अराईव्ह झालेली आहे सिस्टीम मध्ये तिला कंटिन्यू करायचा. इन द सेन्स P3 will be continued for the next 1 minute. That is to the next arrival time, up to the next arrival time. Are you getting my point? Yes, students. If anybody has drawn the GNAT chart, can you post? So first of all, post the GNAT chart. We'll verify it. Then only we'll go for calculation of waiting time and turnaround time. If you do mistake in case of GNAT chart, again, you may make mistake in case of waiting time and turnaround time. Post it on your group. Yes, am I audible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have drawn the GNAT chart, post it on the group. We'll first verify and then you can proceed further. Anybody has completed? Okay, Shubham Shende posted me. We'll first check. So P3 from 0 to 2. Good. From 2 to 6. P2. Good. From 6 to 11, P4. And from 11 to 18, P3. Good. And P1 will be continued from 18 to 26. Okay. So I will post actually Shubham's GNAT chart as well as I have also drawn because I have not taken this example in my notes. So I will post mine also on the group. So this is of Shubham. Rutuja has also posted. Before that, I will post mine. Okay, I have posted. Just check that chart how I have drawn. So per arrival time, I have written the processes, number of processes and their remaining time. And accordingly, I have continued. Good. Rutuja also right. Shraddha Parki Patil. Good. It is also right. Okay, so just go through that net chart. Who is this Yogeshri Pawar? So why the students are entering at the time of attendance? I don't know. So they are thinking that we are not observing them. So try to calculate the waiting time and turnaround time. We'll verify it in the next lecture. So now I will just take the attendance. So probably I will take the screenshots now. It requires more time. Just wait. Urvakada. Okay. So I've taken the screenshots. So you can just write out by your own for waiting time and turnaround time per process, average waiting time, average turnaround time. So we'll discuss the answers in the next lecture, or otherwise, if anybody has done the calculation, they can just write in the chat box so that others, they will just verify. Still 2 minutes are there. If anybody has completed, they can write the answers. That is average waiting time and average turnaround time. If you completed, otherwise just write out and we'll discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so nobody has done the calculation. Okay, let it be. So try it out. In the next lecture, we'll discuss the answers. So now you are able to leave.